feel like I've lived 3 or 4 lives already, you know, and it's like, because the sport just gives you so many unbelievable experiences and you meet so many amazing people. All right, today's guest is a powerhouse in the world of triathlon, a man that not only mastered the rugged terrains of adventure racing, but has also dominated the grueling Ironman. Hailing from New Zealand, he's a 5-time Ironman champion with victories at Ironman Cairns and Ironman New Zealand. He's stood on the podiums at the World Ironman Championships and the Cross Triathlon World Championships. He's won the World Multi-Sport Championships in the famous New Zealand event, the Coast to Coast, 4 consecutive times between 2013 and 2016. Add to that, he's won epic 70.3 and half Ironmans, including Taupo, Tauranga, Wanaka, Sunshine Coast, and more. His endurance sports journey is nothing short of extraordinary. His love for the outdoors and his relentless pursuit of excellence have seen him transition from adventure racing to becoming a beacon of resilience and determination in the world of triathlon. Whether it's paddling across rivers, biking through rugged landscapes, or running down the finishing chute of Kona, he embodies the spirit of adventure and competition. So, without further ado, welcome and thank you for joining me on the Greg Bennett Show, Braden Curie. How are you, mate?
Yeah, mate, what an intro. Wow, you know, it's been a long time in the sport, in a way, or in life. So, yeah, flashbacks, lots of flashbacks, but sounds very extravagant, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Mate, it's a pleasure to be here. Look at where we're sitting. We're here in Noosa, Australia. I brought my gear with me from Florida, and I bumped into my old massage therapist, Duncan Crosby, at the supermarket. He said, Braden's in town. I was like, get out of town. I've been wanting to talk to Braden forever. And here we are sitting. Where are we sitting, mate?
Yeah, well, we managed to score Yarn's house for the 4 months that we're in Australia this year. Yeah. So enjoying the sunshine, enjoying Noosa's winter, which is dry and beautiful. And yeah, back into some training.
It really is paradise, isn't it, mate? We turned up here. Everybody said it's been raining for 6 months, but you got here about the same time we did, about 10 days ago.
Yeah, mate, amazing, absolutely amazing. Well, we've been coming here for 7-8 years every winter, and yeah, I mean, you might get a couple of days of rain here and there, but winters are beautiful in our world. You get sort of cooler, crisp mornings, surf is consistent, sun's out most of the day, 23, is high. So it doesn't really get much better in my mind.
I know. And look, for everybody listening around the world, if there's a destination you want to check out, honestly, coming back here, I love Florida. It's been great, and Boulder, where we've lived around the world and trained in Mallorca and done all these places, the Pyrenees and everything else. But I tell you what, when you come back to Noosa and you just stroll along the beach there and the boardwalk, it really is paradise. I don't know.
Mate, totally. A day like today, up at 6:30, out for a surf for an hour and a half, come talk to you, and then actually off to see Duncan this afternoon for a massage, and then down to see old JR for my last 2-hour swim set before we get into it. So there's a lot of treasures in this place, and we always talk about, going to the islands and, all these incredible beaches, but I don't know, around here it's just the beaches are just as incredible, if not more, and the food's great, coffee's good.
Isn't it?
Life doesn't get much more simplistic than being here in winter.
Mate, well, you mentioned JR, the famous, he must be 90.
JR is 86.
86,
now.
He's been coaching forever. He's, obviously coaching you. He's coached Jan Frodeno. He's coached many others in the pool, a lot of Australian swim champions for forever, Josh Hamburger. And myself and Laura and a whole bunch of us. And he's that old school swim coach, isn't he? Is he still as tough as he used to be?
Yeah, there's a lot to JR to love, really. And he's just, most of all, he's just such an inspiration, isn't he? Like we look for, I think in the sport, we search for people who will get the most out of us. And he's a guy who will get the most out of everyone he possibly can. Yeah. It's phenomenal to see his, his path, his journey, that he has this connection and rapport with so many athletes. And even now, you're in the pool with these 15, 16-year-old kids, and he's still pulling the most out of them. And right now, he would have the strongest swim squad probably in the world. Like
Wow.
he's got some incredible athletes right there. Nick Salone, he's probably sitting 1, 2. I think he's ranked second in the world for what do they call it? Like the 10K open water.
Yeah.
Nick, he just won the Australian Open, and Tom and Bailey. These guys are top 5 Australia marathon 1500 open water. So he still to this day is bringing through, some of the best athletes in the world.
It's not bad, isn't it? And you can pop in, and JR will treat you like you never left, and it's like, get in, let's go. All right, we're going to do 10 400s. And
he might give you a wee pinch test and say, oh, Brado, shit, winter's been good, mate. We got some work to do.
Yeah, like I said, he's old school, everybody. So if that burns your ears, I'm sorry. But
that's the reality to life. And he'll soon tell you, and he won't hold back. So, I think here for me, we're talking just before about staying here through till Kona.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a full build here through till Kona, but it's just simple. It's just, life's simple here.
Yeah.
It's consistent, and the swimming is just next level.
I love it, mate. And look, we're recording on a Monday morning. You're having it as a bit of a rest day, like you said, and you're off to Cairns, Ironman, to defend. You won last year. You won also, was it 2018? When was the last? You've won Cairns Ironman a couple of times now.
Yeah, good stats in Cairns. I think I've had 3 wins.
3 wins.
And 2 seconds. So, it's been a good place for me. I do enjoy racing there. Like it's a really good course. Relatively technical swim, not a lot of visibility, can be quite choppy. Good bike ride, like it really sort of stretches people out. Enough kind of punching, rolly hills, you can be aggressive. And I think the run's always worked well for me too.
That's awesome, buddy. And I've got to say that this episode will come out after the race. So I'm wondering if we should record it as though you've already raced and as though you've already won.
Yeah.
And then we could just say, okay, so how did the race go, mate? Take us through the swim, bike and run. And
this is Australia, mate.
Yeah,
One thing Australians love is weed eaters and leaf blowers.
Yeah.
And coincidence, just as we start with the door open, there's a guy just started on his brush cutter.
Yeah, should we shut the door? Should we shut the door? Yeah, I'll shut the door. Oh, you grab it. All right, we're hitting a slight pause, everybody. The reality of recording a podcast at home and in Australia is that we will have, this guy is cutting his weeds right out, so that helps. But look, we are recording, like I said, on a Monday. This will come out the Monday following Cairns Ironman. And what I thought could be fun is we almost dissect the race as though it's happened. So take me through the perfect race and how it happened, mate.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like, and you often talk about this in your own mind, but you probably won't vocally talk about it race week.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
You don't want everyone to know how you're planning to race.
Yeah.
But it's actually a good field. Like, it's really deep.
Sam Long, did I see?
Well, no, Sam's just pulled out today.
He did. Okay, that changes things a bit.
So that definitely changes things because, he's just aggressive. Well, he's just keen to race.
Yeah.
And you never know what he's going to bring. I wasn't too worried because I just, racing San Fran
and
yesterday.
Then flying over.
Big flight and then doing an Ironman, which he actually hasn't had a huge amount of success
you're right.
at the long distance racing, and hasn't really pulled off a run that I think would threaten us on a good day, but still he has an incredible amount of heart.
He does. He's entertaining. He's entertaining and he likes to entertain. Yeah.
Definitely was going to change my race strategy of how I raced.
Yeah.
But I guess, look, it's Amberger's there, so it's a good swim group. Yeah. And
are you keeping up with? Can you keep up with Josh?
Yeah, most races.
Yeah. You've improved your swim amazingly.
Actually, I haven't been dropped by Josh for a long time.
Yeah.
Fucking Josh, actually, last time I got dropped by Josh is Kona, 2017, I think, and we had a bit of a pack, an Anzac pack.
Yeah.
He said, let's start far left.
Yeah.
We'll get, me, him, Tio together and we'll get off and we'll try and work together on the ride kind of thing. started far left and Amberg started far right.
Oh, never to be trusted again.
No, it's completely out of my box. Never trust him whatsoever. But
big shout out, Josh. We love you, buddy.
Yeah, I like his
but we don't trust you.
No, exactly. Difference between friendship off course and on course.
Yeah.
So obviously him, Greg Barnaby. He's quite a good swimmer.
Yeah.
So ideally we get a little breakaway group, 3 or 4 of us up the road, work together well. There's a good group of bikers, Mike Phillips, Nick Thompson, Ben Hamilton, he's Kiwi, he's pro for a while, cyclist. So there should be a very strong second chase group.
Yeah.
And I would imagine some point in the race that group will be in the front of the race. And ideally that's not till halfway through the ride.
Make them earn it.
Yeah, make them earn it.
Yeah.
And then just, grit my teeth and hang in for that last kind of 40K. I don't know if you've ever raced it, but it's like a 40K block headwind.
Okay. All the way back
section,
in.
Dead flat.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to be surrounded by some people then.
Yeah.
And run, just send it really.
Well, mate, you've run a 240 on that course, haven't you?
I ran a 237.
Oh, well, there we go. I feel like I'm shortchanging you this whole show.
I think I've run a couple of 240s on there.
Wow.
But last year I ran a 237 something.
Goodness.
Might even be late 237. I'm pretty shit with numbers, mate.
Well, that's holding, for everybody listening, that's holding 3:45K pace or 6-minute miles for the Americans. For the entire
it
marathon.
was good.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's not Patrick Langer at the moment, but I think
it's not far off. Buddy.
Asia Pacific wise, I think it's one of the better. Or it is the best run ever.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a good post to put in the ground. That one to know that it's there, and it didn't actually feel too bad either.
Yeah. Good man. So the victory again. That'd be nice. 4
would be really nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, probably the biggest thing for me is it's actually been not a rough year. Like I'm obviously in a very good space and mentally I'm very sound, which is nice. I got, family, everything supporting me, but performance wise, it's been a really awkward year. Obviously had, a few, Nice was blowout completely. Got a penalty got reversed, but by that time I'd pretty much given up on racing.
You still came in 16th. I mean, obviously to your level, it's not.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't anywhere near where I was.
No, I know, but I'm saying with everything that happened, it wasn't a complete disgrace.
And then Tassie, even I did that start of the year, had a flat, and then was trying to pull back time on a wet course and crashed twice, just being too aggressive. And and then I've had a couple of just poor races. Like Texas was just a poor race. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe a misjudgment in altitude.
Was it really hot, or was it a different type
of heat?
Wasn't
hot. No, it was good. It's just super windy, strong headwind. And I just probably misread what I was sort of trying to achieve in the race, and probably trying to be too aggressive.
Yeah.
Dragging a big group of people.
Had you been over there? Had you been over long enough, or when did you get there?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if you followed me too much over the years, but sometimes I do things that maybe I don't regret. But if I was Jan Frodeno, I probably wouldn't have done them. Yeah. And so we finished Oceanside, and we went skiing in Aspen for a week. So we shot to altitude that afternoon, and went skiing in Aspen for a week, and that was epic. Like some of the best skiing I've ever had. Like,
when you're talking Aspen, one of the most beautiful places in the world.
I love Aspen
hard.
Yeah. So then my legs were destroyed, so we decided to go to Boulder.
Oh dear.
And that was okay. 10 days, 9 days training in Boulder, but probably not enough to get over the altitude hump and get some decent training in. And then we were like, like last minute, let's just go to Breckenridge for the weekend because we're on the taper. We might as well make the most of the altitude and get a couple more days skiing. So we went to Breck and skied for a couple of days, and then flew down to Texas. And I don't know.
I don't know what happened in my race. Can anybody give me some feedback on what I might have done wrong?
I don't know what I could have done wrong, but I don't know. Yeah, well, it was amazing that I thought we had been in Aspen. We dropped down to Boulder, trained, and then we went back up to Breck, and we just got nailed with altitude, like headaches, splitting headaches, dry throats, just. And that place is high. It's like 3,500 meters.
Yeah, Breck's about 9,000 feet, right?
But I heard a rumor that Crowe had done it back in the day, maybe not to Breck, but he had stayed in Boulder and then leading into Kona gone up higher, like stayed up on the hill and then gone
I think
to
he
Kona.
might have gone to Netherlands or whatever a little bit, but that wasn't substantially higher. And it was funny. We our neighbor was Frank Shorter for the longest time when we lived in Boulder, and he used to put it. He said, "Look, at 5,000 feet, we call that one increment, and then every 1,000 feet after that is another increment. So really, altitude doesn't start. And so Boulder, depending where you are in Boulder, is around that 5,500 to 6,000 feet." But then if you go up to 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, it's an increment every time.
Yeah.
And so it becomes, so you do have to be, it's worth experimenting to see how it works, but it's also, you got to be really careful when and how long. And there's a lot of science involved. If I was to do it these days, I'd do it with a physiologist with me, and we'd be blood testing the whole way and really see how it works. You, by the sound of it, were skiing, having a great time.
When you really look back on life, will you regret it?
Yeah, what do you remember? And look,
I'll remember skiing at Aspen.
This is the story we're going to be retelling. Remember how bad that Texas race was? Yeah, but remember Aspen. Remember Aspen. And you're right, mate. You're right. I mean, I love that. And so, you were saying, this year has been...
So a bit up and down, really. Since Cairns last year, I haven't pulled off a really clean race that I'll be very proud of. I did Taupo 70.3. I did that very unfit. That was off the back of Nice, or a bit of an off season. Yeah. It's felt like a bit of a dry spell, and so ideally, the race goes to plan. Yeah.
Well, it's professional sport, isn't it, mate? It's you have your up. We were saying before I hit the record button. It's like you can have these times when everything's going well, you've been training really, really well, and then things happen. And to your point, the last 12 months has been things that have happened. But then you have other times where it's just like, that was kind of a surprise. That was an easier one than expected. Very rarely, everybody, but every now and then you get that one and you go, that was awesome.
I think it's that, and that's endurance sport. But I mean, that sport is so defining of a performance. And some days they click and you don't really know why, because you haven't done anything different. And then other days they're just a really hard slog. And I think like last year, Cairns was just one of those days that just clicked, and it was so smooth, it was so easy, and it was so fast. And then, you turn up in Nice and things go a little bit spiral, and next minute you're struggling to run 5-minute K pace.
I know. That's the sport. Everybody can be nodding their head and agreeing on this one, especially at the Ironman distance. It's like, oh man. But what I want to do now is what I love to do with all my guests is rewind the clock. And take me back to when growing up in New Zealand and when you first sort of found your passion, I guess, for sports or endurance sports specifically.
Yeah. An interesting, I guess I grew up in a family, very lucky, mum, dad, grew up on a farm in New Zealand. Loved farming, Matt. I love farming. I love being out there.
What kind of farming?
We had about 3,500, 4,000 sheep at that time, about 1,800 head of cattle, and run about, now we run sort of close to 800,000 acres of crop.
Get out of town.
But back in the day, it was more towards sheep and beef than it was towards crop.
I actually saw that in New Zealand. I was reading that it's actually become a lot more crop than. Did the government? Was there support or something?
Meat prices dropped away a little bit. Cropping was a good option. I mean, financially, it's just where you go, and that's farming.
How much land did you just say?
Oh, we've got sort of 2 farms, so probably about 1,400, 1,500 acres.
So it's half of New Zealand.
Well, it's getting close. No, it's not really. A small amount, but if you know farming, then our productivity on the Canterbury Plains where I grew up is incredibly high. So if we look at yields out here in Australia, you might be getting 1-2 tonne of barley per acre, and we're getting 12 tonne of barley per acre but they're running like 8,000 acres kind of thing out here. So quite different style of farming, and we'll go through like seasons where we'll get two crops off a paddock a year in whatever form that means. So it might be you get the grass seed off, but then you fatten lambs off the grass seed. So not many countries around the world have the climate and the potential soils to grow in the way that I did on the farm. So yeah, grew up on a farm, loved it. And mostly I think I just loved the hard work. I'd get on my motorbike, drive up next to a neighbour, I'd milk cows at 4:30 in the morning. Then I'd knock off at 9, then I'd go to rugby, play rugby, then I'd go back and milk cows from 2 o'clock till 5, 6 o'clock at night. And I look back now because my son's 16 and it was before I had my driver's license. So I must have started doing that when I was like 14, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go milk cows. So the work ethic definitely grew and started back in those days. And I guess it followed through. I grew up in a family that probably sport, like especially professional sport, wouldn't look to be as a career. Wouldn't have known a thing about triathlon. Would never have heard.
Maybe rugby though. I mean, being a Kiwi, rugby being a professional
rugby
athlete.
Rugby was solely the sport.
And you were growing up around the time of Lomu and
John Lomu. I remember sitting down on a Saturday night, fish and chips, watching John Lomu run through about 10 Englishmen. Completely.
How big was he? He's like 140 kg, and he could run the 111 seconds. They put him on outside centre. Did he play outside centre?
His wing, number 11.
What did they say actually? What was the Kiwi thing where it was like, this is a team sport, so everybody has to work as a team to get Johnny Lomu the ball.
Spread it wide, give him space, and no one could stop him. So
it was so good. He's missed.
That was my rugby area. But I had an older brother, and it's funny how competitive you are with family. Yeah. And I look back on it, I didn't think I was competitive, but kind of whatever he did, I tried to do better. And that's probably where it all started. Like he got into snowboarding. Next minute, I got into snowboarding. Tried to do better. Sadly to say, he's probably better than me now, but it's been a while since we snowboarded together. But then he got into multi-sport. So in New Zealand, multi-sport's a big part of what we do. Yeah. I did an outdoor pursuit course when I started when I was 15 and a half. It's a year-long course, and it was really the only way that school could keep me in school.
What kind of school is it? What did you call it?
Well, it's just school. It's integrated into school, but on every Wednesday, Friday, every weekend, you go rock climbing, diving, rafting, anything really.
Hang on, that's a part of your school.
It was part of the educational process. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It was 16 kids from all around New Zealand that got put into a lodge in Methven, and all did the same activities and went to school at the same time. I didn't really go to school. I just did the activities. So that really got me into adventure, that kind of really fueled, I guess, my passion for being in the mountains, for rafting, for kayaking, trail running. Definitely, I started trail running about then and just loved trail running, the freedom, the ability. I'd drive my little car up to the mountains and I'd run. And I got into climbing at that point, and left school. I remember I was 17 flying to the UK and going to work for this outdoor school in Wales. Yeah. I remember having a massive night in London on a fake passport. So I look back now again, and my son's 16, and I don't know how my parents let me go. Yeah. But I was driven. I was off. I was out of there. So I went climbing really for 2 years around the world, in Thailand, Chamonix, France, Verdon Gorge, Canada, States.
How'd you get by? Were you're working as a climbing instructor? Or?
I worked a little bit. I worked as a climbing instructor. I ended up in Canada. I remember I was in Toronto. I was dead broke, had dreads down to my shoulders, and I rang my old man. I was like, Dad, I'm broke. I can't actually afford to go anywhere. He's like, I know this guy in Calgary. Go see him. He'll give you a job on a farm. So I went there, and next minute I was driving these 80-ton Super B trucks down the road. And then
I love that your dad didn't give you a handout. He's like, hey, this is where you can go get some work, son.
Exactly. That's my dad to a T.
Good man.
It's that's great, son, but go get a job and shave your head while you're at it. So yeah, next minute I was across Canada and working for them, and then I worked on this guy with oil rigs. We'd drive around and weld out blowout valves on these oil rigs and stuff. And I was like, I still didn't know a thing about sport like triathlon. I would never have thought it would come.
So you were 20 by now, or 19?
Yes,
20? Yeah.
19 at that time, 20. I moved back to New Zealand to work on the glaciers as a guide. And I was working there and decided that I wanted to have a good shot at coast to coast.
For people that don't know, I mean, I know coast to coast it's the Kona of multi-sport events. It really is it's for me growing up, it was always the biggest one, and as an Aussie kid, it was like we'd send over a few Aussies and it's always been the big event to try and nail, right?
It is. Yeah. It's an incredible, I mean, like something like Emberman might come close to it in Europe. But it's just the course is just so unique and so challenging, so technical. But you can race it, and it's a day race from one side of the country to the other.
Whereabouts? Where's it start? Where's it
starts on the west coast of Komara. Got like a 43k run, 50k bike ride, 30k mountain run that is uber technical, into like another 30k ride, 70k kayak downriver. It's about 4.5-5 hours paddling, and then another 70k flat TT to the city of Christchurch. Outside. So it's 10-11 hours kind of racing. So yeah, mate, that's sort of where it begun for me. Like I wanted to give that a good nudge and see what it was all about. And I was lucky enough at that point, I just met Sally again, and we actually went to school together, and we definitely weren't love at first sight back then.
She probably wanted nothing to do with you.
Well, yeah,
Dreadlocks.
She was 3 years older and my brother's friend, and I was just this little smart ass.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Seemed to get kicked out of class, and every time she walked around a corridor here, I would be laughing at her or doing something cheeky. Yeah. So, met Sal again and probably turned a little bit more focused towards racing. Oh, mate, the stories. That was short-lived. I did one shot at Coast to Coast, and then I always say Sally got pregnant. I'd only
you had nothing to do with it. Hang on,
that's what we all say, isn't it? It was all her fault, like, surely. So, mate, again, I look at my son. I'm like 16, and I was 20. Just turned 21. Yeah. So, oh, crikey. I don't know how we made that decision. Like that was, it's just,
you look back and you think you were you think you were old at the time, but now you're like, wow, we were really young.
Really young. Yeah. I thought I had it all under control. And now I look back, I probably had about $2,000 to my name, a kayak and a van.
Oh, man.
So took a real job, and that was pretty tough.
What do you mean a real job? What was that?
I went back farming again.
Farming. Yeah.
Did 12 months on a farm.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I enjoyed it, but like, I guess small country, cottage, cold, Sally, baby, quite tough year in our life. And really questioning, like, where do we go from here? You're earning $30,000, so you're just making enough to eat, kind of thing.
And New Zealand dollars, everybody.
New Zealand dollars.
I'm just kidding. You're in New Zealand, so it's all right.
It's not. You're not going far around the world, that's for sure.
Oh, man.
And we worked at that, and then we decided that we got to come to Australia. The land of the free, really.
Oh, is that right?
Milk and honey. Yeah.
It's all rainbows and stars over here.
So we still haven't actually got to professional sport yet. But
oh, no, this is great.
Sally decided she wanted to be a yoga teacher. Yeah. So she did a course in Byron, and I came over to look after our son. And I was there, and I saw this mountain biking company that hadn't operated for, I think it's been 5 years. Yeah. And I rang the guy up, and I was like, mate, why is it not operated? He's like, I just couldn't make it work, couldn't be bothered anymore, kind of thing. And I was like, well, would you sell it? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, what's it worth? And he's like, well, bikes aren't worth a thing, but there's a truck maybe worth 20 grand, it's all yours, kind of thing. So we brought this business, and and we operated that out of Byron Bay for 2.5 years.
Wow. It's another beautiful place in the world, by the way, people.
Another beautiful
Byron.
place.
Oh my God.
Yep. And a great lifestyle, living the Aussie dream, surfing in the morning.
That's where Chris Hemsworth is, and Pat Rafter moved from Noosa down to Byron Bay. Yeah.
Tim Reed.
Tim Reed's he's in that area. But
so kind of living the dream. Well, not living the dream. We were broke as broke, but we worked. We worked so hard, and again, we look back on it as some of the best times of our life. Like it was hilarious. Like we did everything. We were making slice in the middle of the night and packing cheese and cleaning bikes. Taught myself to be a bike mechanic and taking people out riding. And you learn so much running small business too. Like we build our own website. We banking, taxes. GST, vehicles, everything that comes in, marketing that comes in with running a small business that you don't learn if you work for someone else quite often.
And you can't learn it in school either. You need to do something to just throw yourself in the deep end,
and like figure it out. Yeah. So we did that 2 years, and and that was awesome experience. We started a cycle touring company at the same time, and we moved back to New Zealand. We sold the business for 30 grand, which we was just blown away. Like we made 10 grand profit, but again, probably the same thing is that you actually made 30 grand cash. So that was the most money we had ever made. Yeah. We thought we had absolutely crushed it. And we moved back to New Zealand, and I started racing. I guess full time at that point. Yeah. So I was 24, I think, 23, 24.
And that was started racing the adventure racing.
It was adventure racing. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't even known. I still at that point wouldn't have known what Ironman was. Yeah.
And that was, what year was that now? We're up to about 2006, 7?
Yeah, probably 7, 8. Yeah. And I got into Coast to Coast. I think first time I gave it a serious punch, I got third. Blew up in the last ride. Lucky enough, after that, I got invited to race with Richard Usher and Alina Usher.
Wow, the Ushers, huge in the multisport world. Absolutely.
King and queen of multisport. Wow. And in the adventure racing world, you race as 4-person teams. And at that point of time, there was quite big money in China. And we would go to China and race 5-day stage races. You get to sleep at night in these ones, so that was good. But just a variety of rafting, canyoning, kayaking, running, mountain biking, anything. Sometimes they make you eat chilies. Sometimes they make you carry baskets on
whatever
your head,
it takes to
entertain the Chinese, really. Let's be honest. But we were making money, really. They were paying us in cash. We'd think of times when we were coming back through customs, and we'd be trying to split the cash to get through customs. And
that's awesome.
And that was like life for, I think, 4 or 5 years of doing that and coast to coast. And I think by that time I'd figured out that I was probably quite good at coast to coast. Like, that was my race, and I was so aggressive. Did
Coast to Coast, it had pretty big endorsements on the back of it and reasonable prize money? Was it?
Okay, prize money, but I think the big thing in New Zealand, it's like that you become a name quite quickly. It gets a lot of exposure.
So the endorsements can roll in a little bit easier.
Endorsements can roll in, So that's when I picked up Red Bull.
Yeah, and aren't they the most loyal company around? I mean, they'll...
Incredible. Yeah. They'll follow you the whole way through your career. They'll try and help you create a career outside of the sport.
Mark Webber, a mate of mine who lives in Noosa here, Formula One driver, ex-Formula One driver for Red Bull, and we've had lots of discussions about some of the greatest brands and companies to work with, and he puts Red Bull at one of. I never was with Red Bull, but everybody I've spoken to, you could have 2, 3, 4 years where you're really struggling, and they do whatever they can to help you, and they stay loyal. It really is. I want to shout out to them because they really are a very cool brand like that.
As a company, a brand, the ethos is incredible. And Courtney Atkinson.
Yeah, Courtney's with. Is he doing?
He's still. He rocks Red big time. But he's moved into a career base with them. And that's what they'll do. They'll support you all the way if they can. Start events. At that point in time, we started Red Bull Defiance, and that was in collab with my new sponsorship with Red Bull. So that was my own race. Started with a friend, Dougal Allen. But
I didn't know that. That's huge.
Dougal decided to not want to be part of the kind of the business side of it. And obviously Sally and I had quite a lot of experience at that point in time with running cycling tours and organising at that point, a cycling tours company, we're also doing like corporate events with ASB Bank and stuff over here. So we'd had a bit of experience running events, and we put on Red Bull Defiance.
So tell us quickly, what Red Bull Defiance for people
Red
that
Bull
don't know.
Defiance was a 2-day stage race. Probably some of the coolest content you ever see.
Yeah.
Like they went hard we had helicopters galore. We were flying ridge lines at sunset to get filming, and throwing 200, 300 grand at these cameras that hung out of gimbals that hung off bottom of helicopters as they would circle us as the sunset on ridge lines and stuff. So 2-day stage race, 2-person teams. First day was a barge ride across Lake Wanaka, big 50k mountain bike, quite a lot of climbing, big run, technical run, big abseil, so a sea kayak back across the lake. Day 2 was a kayak down the river, big mountain bike, about 2,500, 3,000 meters of climbing over 40k, big descent off that. And then I guess the skyline was kind of the mother of it. So the 2,000 meters climbing, I think it's 32k-ish back to town, and like 18k of that's just
I remember watching it.
Big skyline as you run through. So that was really cool experience.
And you weren't in it. You didn't do it.
Yeah, I raced it as well.
Oh, you raced it as well?
Yeah.
Jeez, that would have been a busy couple of
Well, lucky Sally, you'll find out pretty quickly that well, I'm probably physically quite capable. Sally holds the rest of the fort up. Together we make a great team, but there's always a great alliance there together. That's
awesome.
Wingman that pulls it all together, and she's definitely my wingman through my career. So has allowed us to probably achieve and do more than what we probably normally would as a pure athlete. So yeah, we did that. Shit, like exterior hasn't even entered the window at that point of time.
This is awesome. This is really why I wanted to talk to you, because it's such a unique, awesome background. And I just want to quickly say, just your resilience and your ability to adapt and keep moving is some of the most inspirational stuff I hear. Like for me, this is the idea of being a good man. A great man is the ability to be resilient, adapt, and keep moving. I'm loving it. So please don't feel like I'm loving every bit of this story. So.
I think one of the biggest things, and you would know this too, is that like sport to me has been a platform. in a lot of ways. And people, they always like, oh, do you get paid big money and stuff? Not really. We do all right. And to be honest, probably only in the last 3 years you've done all right, because you always get paid well at the end of your career, really. But it's created a lot of incredible experiences and opportunities. And like even things like that we learned that by taking that step and starting Red Bull Defiance, it also opened its window to probably some of the more profitable stuff I've ever done, which was after racing a lot in China, I built a really good connection with one of the event organizers over there. And before I knew it, he rang me up and said, hey, Braden, I want to bring 24 banking executives to New Zealand and I want you to put on an event race for them. So he brought them over. It was a complete disaster. He's like, I want to do a 78K ultra run. He turns up. I'm like, I can't run today because I've got an Ironman coming up, but I'll send my mate Dougal to run through with you. He's got a smoke in a durry, makes it about 15K. They turn around and run back out. But it gave us this opportunity to do things like that. And it was like we did that. And then next minute he rings up and he's got the guy who owns Alibaba. He wants to come out and he wants to bring 14 of his mates and do a 10-day adventure-based experience.
Open checkbook.
Open checkbook. And we do that. And then the next minute we do one for a family that are also sit in that world and open checkbook.
God, I've got my brain's thinking of all these businesses I want to do with you right now, actually.
so then all of a sudden we're running, high-end experiences for probably some of the most, he was the third wealthiest person in the world at that point in time, 78 billion.
Yeah, what's his name again?
He actually lives here.
Oh, does he?
knows that.
Does he?
Yeah, for now, but he went missing for a few years because he spoke out a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. He's gone. That's right. Yep.
So, it's these experiences that we took from it and have been like from racing, and is given the opportunity to do these things. And they've been a lot of fun, but also just like, I don't know, just something that you, I think sports allowed to open this kind of portfolio up for me.
It's so well said. Laura and I always talk about that, where we go, I feel like I've lived 3 or 4 lives already, you know, and it's like, because the sport just gives you so many unbelievable experiences and you meet so many amazing people, you know. That's
and you've
really
also
cool.
got freedom to choose in a lot of ways, like what you do and where you go with it. So we ran these events for these guys. That was awesome. A lot of fun, as you can imagine. 10 days with an open book, helicopters on tap, fly whether you want, $100,000 a night for accommodation. And ran these, and then I guess I kind of got to a point where I felt like I had mastered multi-sport, and I wanted to have a good go at, I guess at that point in time it was exterior, was like my next passion. So we pursued that, and that was a challenge. Again, it was financially a hard sport to be in.
Yeah, it's tough. The prize money's not great.
Money's not great. There was times when, you know, I got second at World Champs and I didn't see a prize check till the week before the next World Champs a year later.
Wow.
So that really stretched us out, and I mean, we still had fun. Like, you know, during that process, I just think of things like, you know, we built a house in Wanaka. Couldn't afford it at that point in time. This was probably just before the Chinese stuff.
What year are we talking now? Where are we up to? 2013, 15?
Yeah, probably a little bit earlier even still. And we brought an acre in Wanaka, and we went traveling, and the bank had paid us our last like final block payment for building the house. But the house company actually hadn't realized they hadn't charged us for it. So we traveled Europe racing exteriors, thinking I was going to make a heap of money by winning the exterior Europe circuit. They never paid us. We turned up back in New Zealand. The housing company finally needs the money. So I jump on a flight and go straight back to China and do 2 adventure races, gather up enough money to go back and try and pay off this bill for them. So there were definitely plenty of living on the edge kind of moments.
Leslie Patterson had a similar story. You know, Leslie won exterior, and she was racing every year to pay for the royalties for the film she just produced, which won the BAFTA, All Quiet on the Western Front. And just to keep paying that each year, she had to keep racing. These. Anyway, similar story.
So it was tough times. It definitely stretch you as an athlete when you're trying to kind of go forward in life, but you're not getting paid for a year.
And you got a family and people to feed and
family and 4 airfares to fly around the world and stuff like that. You spend quite a lot of money when it comes like that. And mate, so things rolled on. Exterior was good, 2 or 3 years trying to chase that, mixing that in with adventure racing. And then I decided to do Ironman New Zealand. And that was probably the beginning of the end to where we're at now.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it's been a pretty good transition for you. I mean, your success in the world of triathlon and Ironman, don't get me wrong, I know you're ambitious and I know you want more and you see Kona and the world titles and all sorts of things, and I can see it in your eyes that you're like, it's been good. But I mean, it's still to win New Zealand Ironman as a Kiwi, you know, to win it twice, and to beat finally Cam Brown. Cam, you greedy bastard. Was it 12 times he won it or something?
He's got plenty of names on that plaque. In fact, they're having to find new places to put names on that plaque, which is special, and it's an incredible history. And I now, the more I race, I look back on how incredible it was that not only he won that many times, but that he could turn up to the event healthy and pull it off, because that's probably the biggest thing I find now is that it's, you know, like, to perform well is good, but to turn up to a race healthy, consistently, 13 years, it's amazing. Is a phenomenal feat.
Is he still going? Has he announced his retirement? Cam, are you still? I had him on the show about 18 months ago. I don't think he's ever going to retire.
And just about that's the cool thing, you know. He's polar opposite to me. I'll retire. I'll find my spot. And
I was the same.
Okay, life's going to change now. Cam has as much passion as probably when he was winning his first as what he does now, even though he pulls his calf every time he tries to rebuild.
I know. Well, especially in these super shoes, I feel like these super shoes have been good for a lot of people, but for someone like him, I don't. Yeah. Anyway,
too much stress.
Yeah.
So I mean, Ironman New Zealand debut and managed to win, and that was pure shock in a lot of ways. But I think when I look back on how I used to race, I was so cocky and aggressive, and I just didn't care. I remember pulling up. This is a good story with Trenzo Bozzoni is my first race, and we roll off up this sort of climb just out of the swim, and I don't know how I swam with him. Like I obviously learned to swim relatively quick looking back.
Do you think your kayaking helped with that? I mean, how do you pick up swimming in your mid-20s or late 20s when you...
Yeah, late 20s.
Yeah.
I wasn't amazing, but I was good enough in the water. And kayaking definitely helped with that. I think like fluid dynamics, understanding catch, rotation, push, definitely came from kayaking.
Yeah, it was the same as rowing. I grew up rowing, and it was all understanding a good catch, good acceleration through the stroke, and a good clean finish.
And you've got most of the stroke going, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the swimming came along, and I was riding up this hill, me and Trenzo must have been first, second out of the water. And I ride past Trenzo, probably pushing 400 watts kind of thing, just sending it. Yeah. Trenzo turns around and he goes, "You think this is a 1 lap race, mate?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was 2. Okay, fine." And we ride, and then like 40K later, looking back, I knew nothing about gearing. So I probably had like a 54 chainring on. He probably had a 60. Yeah. And downwind, Paparoa, 60, 70K an hour kind of thing, he just takes off. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. Like
I can't spin any
kind of thing. Yeah. We turn around, we ride back in. He's 8 minutes up on me after the first lap. I was like, whoa, this is going to be humiliating kind of thing. I didn't expect this. Then we go down again, and we turn around and come back to transition, and he's 3 minutes up. And I was like, how did that happen? I was like, 3 minutes. Like, this is going to be great. Yeah. So I take off out of transition at like 3:10 pace, catch him within about a K and a half. And I slap him on the back. And I was like, how was that second lap, mate?
Oh no, you've been cocky with it. Here we go.
And I sent it. I had a great run. I carried it. I pulled it off. He pulled out. And that was kind of the start of Ironman for me.
But they would have known who you were, the Kiwi boys for sure, with the coast to coast being as big as it was, and they still would have known. Okay, this guy knows endurance. He knows he's a bit of a hard ass. Like, it's not like you're nobody.
It'd be funny to think of what their mindset was, because I would have thought I was nobody because I didn't understand the sport and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know who they were. Yeah. There was even some Uber cyclists from Europe that I rode away from at that point in time. They had come over to race. And so, I had no respect or no understanding of anyone. So it would be funny to think what they thought when I stepped over to race it, whether they felt threatened or whether they were like, he's not going to be able to do what he can do off-road.
Well, it's very rare. We always, in the sport, and you're probably seeing it more now, someone will come from professional cycling or somebody and they're going to tear it up. Yeah. And they very, very rarely do. Like, 100%. I mean, and so you actually turning up and delivering, it's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's
and to pull off a marathon, I think too, like obviously I'd run off-road, but to me that's very different. It's a lot of different muscle groups. It's a lot of variety, a lot of fluidity kind of thing. But a marathon's very unison, straight, mechanical. And the way I run is relatively unique too. So I'm all limbs, and I thought I would have probably detonated, but managed to pull it together, hold it together, and it started the journey in Ironman.
Yeah, which hasn't been that long when you consider how late you started. I mean, you're coming to your late 30s now, and really you've only been doing the sport, since your early 30s? I mean, it's...
I think I was 32, something like that. And then you take out COVID too. So that was sort of 2 years of
nothing.
2 years of awkward racing in a way. Well, 1 year of nothing, another year of like missing Ironman New Zealand, Ironman Cairns. So a few races in there that I probably didn't get to compete at as well in my career. So if you looked, it's probably maybe only a 5 year window of actual racing, Ironman racing.
Yeah.
And yeah, lots of highs, lots of lows.
Yeah,
lots
tell
of
me about that. Tell me about some. What are the if you said a couple of big highs, and then we'll discuss a couple of lows and what you learned from them. But
yeah, big highs. Gomez was probably a bit of an idol at that point in time, coming off short course. His
arguably one of the greatest of all time to do the sport.
And a great human.
He really
like
is.
Gomez.
Yeah, we all love having him.
Nice, genuine guy. And it's good to see him, San Fran, this weekend have just a solid race again on a world stage. Yeah. I do think he's still got more to offer.
100%. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
I'd love to see him. I think he's just got to get his head in the right space.
Yeah. Or just get some hard racing back, just get back out there racing again. Yeah.
So, my battle with him, we had a couple of races before. Like, this is just to frame it. I raced Challenge Wanaka. I dropped a chain. Gomez rode up, put his hand on my back, and we were 1 and 2 at that point in time. And pushed me up the hill till I flicked my chain back on, and it went down to a running battle. He pipped me by like 10 seconds kind of thing. And it was just like, that was cool.
Just think about the sportsmanship of that. Like that is Javier Gomez.
He had come to New Zealand. He was racing the sort of no-name Braden Curie, but whatever. It's fair sport. Yeah. He didn't want to win because I had dropped a chain.
He would just do
2
that.
minutes.
He is that person.
Yeah. So we did that, and then we went to Ironman Cairns together, and that was going to be the big rival. And that was sort of played out the way we thought it would. Big swim, big bike, and came down to a running race. And it was just a fun battle. It's just an awesome battle. You go side by side for 30 something K. He would, I think about 12K. He put maybe a minute and a half on me. I was like, I don't know how I'm ever going to pull this back. Then I managed to pull back up to him, and then he put another 30 seconds on me, and then sort of pulled that back up to him, and about 32K I came up beside him, and just being my sort of general self, I said, oh shit, this is going to be fun, Javier. I reckon we can go to the finish here. And I looked at him, and he didn't smile. And I was like,
calorie depletion may be happening right now.
Yeah. And then I saw his coach, and his coach is always speaking Spanish kind of thing. So I had no word what he said, but the only thing I heard was Coke. And I was like,
hurting.
It's hurting. So next aid station I was like, if I got a chance, this is it. So I see him pull in, and he's going straight for the Coke, and I just pretended to take my first glass, dropped it, and just bolted.
Wow.
And
what K? How far to go was that?
That was 34K, I think.
Yeah.
At that
so
point
still
in time.
still a 8K of running. Yeah.
Still 8K of running. But I kind of blew out 30 seconds on him from that, and I just knew that if he was on the edge, he was searching for Coke, and I'd put time into him at that point in time. It was going to be hard for him to turn it around and chase me down. But it was just a really, really good battle, and just good fun racing.
Yeah. That's so cool. I mean, like, I don't want to keep celebrating Javier, but we trained together for a long time, lived together in Noosa here for many, many years. And honestly, probably one of the greatest athletes I've ever trained with. And I've trained with everybody that you can name. And I just... So do you have one up on him? It's a big one. Like, it's a big cap. I know he hasn't nailed Ironman as well as some of his short course, but just in terms of his athletic ability and his intentional training, and
I mean, his intentional training is what probably blows me away the most. Like, he's so dedicated and so focused, and you can tell if he has it might be his downfall at the same time, because if he has a bad training session, he's so frustrated.
Big grumpy.
Very angry kind of thing. Where I'll just be like, "Wow, I'm going for a surf. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I got the session done."
You've got an ability, just from sitting and chatting with you here, that you can get yourself to neutral and be relaxed, but then I can see it in your eyes, be intentional when you really want to be on. A lot of people don't have that ability. I don't. When I'm on, I'm always on, and I've had to work really hard to get myself to relax and to shut off. Whereas anybody that goes skiing for a week in Aspen, and even the thought of that makes my stomach churn.
I don't know what's going to create more success, but
it's in terms of being a person to be around. For Sally,
and my kids, and my life. I like the fact I can turn off this morning, go surfing for 2 hours, come here and not be too wound up, bound up, and I sleep really well. On average, I'd say I'm a very calm person and relaxed person. Yeah. But when I race, I love racing hard.
Yeah, but even the way you said you won cans, it's like just, that image of you, just recognizing that his coach was yelling Coke, Coke, that he didn't talk back to you. I love the battles like that where you're so on and you're so like, well, where's my chance? What's my moment? What am I going to do here? And that's why I love short course racing, because I always felt there was more of that. So that's where Ironman for me was a little bit too on my own.
I would happen to agree. It's just sad that I'm actually good at it, because I would probably much prefer to line up every week at a sprint distance race and have those split second decisions and fire, but I didn't quite get gifted with enough fast twitch fibers. Or maybe I was a bit late in my career to fire into that stuff. But so that was a great battle. Lots, you have the time I went Kona, I think my second attempt at Kona, and ran out with Patrick Lang, T.O.
I remember that. You and T.O. had a big battle on that one,
Me and T.O. had a big battle. Yeah.
Because I think I was coaching you or being involved with T.O.'s career a little bit at that time, and you guys were you 4th, 5th at Kona? What were you?
Yeah, we were 4th and 5th. And Patrick obviously went on to win. McNamee was 3rd.
Yeah, that's right.
Bart Arnold's was 2nd that year.
That's right. 2017, 18.
Yeah.
No, I can't remember.
17, I think.
17, that's right.
But so that was a fun battle, and just fun to be running with the best in the sport kind of thing. Yeah. And again, being my cheeky self, I didn't have a watch on, and I turned to Patrick and I'm like, hey Patrick, what pace are we running? He's like, 3:30's too fast. I was like, but it feels good. Let's go.
Yeah, it always does going out on a leaky drive. When you've been on a bike for 4.5 hours, you're like, this feels good. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just run now. Of course, 3:10s.
Why not? Feels great. That was a highlight. That was a good battle. And again, that kind of, told me that I could race at the front of a world champs and be up there and be competitive. It was awesome. Lows. Nice was probably one of the bigger lows that I've had this year.
You felt prepared for that? And
I'd given so much to that race. As you can tell already that I am relatively relaxed. I was actually very competitive with that one. I had a really good build in St. Moritz. Went down
up in altitude,
2.5 weeks early to Nice. Had a really good block in Nice. Knew the course really well. Knew the course should suit me. Good climbing course. Just pull off a solid run. And I was sitting exactly how I wanted it to unfold. Swum front group. In fact, was first out of the water in front of Jan.
That's right. Jan. Big, there you go, Jan. You're taking caps all over the place. See you later, Javi. See you later, Jan. Next.
Still one of JR's highlights of his career. I think, when he saw me and Jan swimming side by side at the front of the world
that
champs,
actually is incredible,
pretty
mate.
Happy.
How good your swimming has progressed. Yeah.
So, and then bike ride was feeling good, but my God, went up the hill with Laidlow and it's like 8-minute climb or something, those first 2 steps. And the power was just huge.
Yeah, he was off the charts.
Couldn't believe
absolutely
it,
off the charts.
I was doing close to 480 watts or something at the start.
And how heavy are you, just so people get an idea? You're about, 72?
69.
69
at that point in time.
Wow.
That was pretty light.
Holy crap.
It was unbelievable, really. And by that time, we had dropped like a minute and a half into Bradley Weiss Jan's group. Rudy Von Berg, those guys had kind of pulled back, which probably was a very smart move in hindsight. But I thought if I could make a difference in that race, it's probably going to be those climbs. So we had gone with it, and then I got blown off the back. I was just like, this is crazy.
That's a lot of revving. That's a lot of revving. 480 watts?
About for 3-4 minutes through those climbs kind of thing. It's just out of the saddle, just going for it, kind of like it was a Tour de France climb kind of thing. And it's steep, that first section, so it's not hard to generate the power, but it was definitely big power. And so I let it go, and then Rudy Von Berg caught me, and I was like, perfect. This guy knows the course, quite a fast section. We'll rode with him, got into the long climb as me, Bradley Weiss, Rudy, and then Magnus caught us up. And I was like, this will be really interesting. Like this will really tell whether powder weight ratio is going to make a difference or whether Magnus is absolute beast and he's just going to ride away from us. I think we rode with him for the next like 90K. And on the hills was pretty good, like which was telling me that I was in good shape, good form. Got to the flats at the top. Magnus did what he does best and solo TT'd pretty much off the front. I got dropped and then Camworth caught me and we were probably only a K off the big descent and we went through an aid station. I grabbed a bottle, filled my thing up and then went to throw it. It was really short drop station and there's a person cleaning up some of the bottles in the drop station and it still had half a bottle in it. So I was like, just paused for a second. I was like, nah, don't throw it at the person, whatever. Just throw it. I threw it maybe 5 meters behind the flag kind of thing. Instantly got a penalty.
Come on.
Argued the penalty, realised he was French, couldn't argue the penalty. Then Cam had made a break and that was probably my wheel to the bottom of the descent in my mind. And again, just that the body just shut down, to be honest, after that. Like it just boom.
What you think has a direct impact on your physiology, right? And so if you're given a penalty and you could just wave it off and get yourself to neutral really fast, but I'm sorry, you're in a world championship and
you'd spent a lot of cookies.
What is it, 5 minutes or a penalty?
5 minutes.
So there's a 5 minute penalty.
Yeah. So anyway, rode the descent, got caught up by a lot of people, had kind of given up, was like, I'll just take my penalty, I'll jog it out kind of thing. Get there, head of Ironman athlete, Heather's like, just race Braden, debate, dispute the penalty at the end. We want you to dispute it, whatever. Carried on, raced, jogged the marathon.
Yeah, it's hard to get going.
Disputed it. Won the dispute in the end that night. It got overturned.
Okay.
And obviously got my 16th spot reimbursed. DQ pulled back. And a whole lot of, I guess, time wasted.
I'm sorry.
In a lot of ways.
I'm really, really sorry. That's hard. That's tough.
It was a tough one. And it was just frustrating, you put that much into it and you feel like that course was going to work. And you're on that day. Yeah. And it felt like it got ripped away. Hindsight, I should have changed my mindset. No. I should have taken my penalty and raced hard and I might have still got top 10 kind of thing.
The thing is, even with that, it's on your mind the whole race going, well, am I getting DQ'd?
Yeah.
How do you run a marathon going, well, I got to give it everything, but there's a chance I'm going to get DQ'd. Nothing. And it hurts, by the way. It really hurts.
No matter how fit you are or good form you're on, it really hurts. In fact, it hurts more when you got that in your mind. That was a bit of a blow and probably one of the harder races of my career to accept. The low light.
Mate, but look, you've got Ironman cans, like I said yesterday when this episode comes out. But, what's the rest of the year look like for you? You'll be back here preparing for, have you already qualified for Kona or Cairns is your?
Cairns is my qualifier.
Yeah.
That'll be done. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
And then Lake Placid.
Yeah. Okay. Go over to the US and
go over to the US and roll.
That'll be a solid field this year. I think there's a few people.
It'll be a solid field. It's a Pro Series race. And obviously all the Americans will be there.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. And then back here, big build and into Kona.
Yeah, and then will you do Taupo at the end of the year? Or?
Taupo 70.3 at the end of the year.
Yep. So you're looking at the Ironman Pro Series then? Is that? Yep. Adding up some points for that. And yeah. So for me, I guess at the start of the year, that was obviously, that was a big focus and it still is. And it works in my mind. I believe it works well for me because generally I can run a 240, 245, even on a bad day. So I thought like consistency, I'm normally within that top field and the way the point system works, every second counts kind of thing. I'm always sort of within point distance. And it's decent bonus money at the end of the year for that, isn't it?
It's like $250K US.
Yeah, if you win.
If you win. And better then it rolls down pretty well to like top 5.
That's good, because I was going to ask if you were disappointed not to do the T100 series, but the Pro Series is...
It wouldn't suit me, mate. You look at San Fran, I mean, I know I can swim
the
with
short
those
course
guys.
guy. Well, Kyle Smith,
you look at
your
Kyle,
training partner.
I train with Kyle a lot.
He missed by 0.23 seconds, I saw,
Phenomenal.
to Martin Van Riel. Big shout out to Martin. But Kyle,
those guys was great racing.
Yeah, Rico Bogan in third. Yeah.
Good to see him having those performances because, you know, he's a phenomenally solid athlete and he's worked hard for it. And he's that kind of athlete. He's built for that kind of racing. He's powerhouse. He's got a lot of power.
Yeah. It really is the short course athlete going slightly longer rather than the long course athlete coming down. That's why I look at that T100 series.
You would have to say it suits that a lot more.
Well, 3 hours 20, 3.5 hours compared to 8.
Doesn't quite stack up, hey? You'd have a lot of horsepower really to pull that off. And it'll be interesting towards the end of the year to see more of those Olympic athletes roll over into it to see where. But again, it's not said and done too, in my mind. Like you do get a lot of those like Vincent Louis and stuff that don't actually have any success at it. But you think they would probably be some of the best T100 races.
Well, I think when you train for something specifically for so long, and not to bring it back to myself, but I became very good at an hour 45 to an hour 50. Like very, very good. My body knew it. It knew everything about it. I knew how to eat before, how to eat during, or lack of eating during. To the point then, even when I did the 70.3s, which I didn't do terrible at, but even the ones that I won were murder. Like I get to 16K of the run, 5K to go, and I'm absolutely done. And I might have a 5-minute lead, and it's the worst 5K of my life, right?
Yeah.
I never liked them because my body just learnt to shut off. And I'm watching sort of Gomez and Brownlee and Vincent Louis. It's not easy to just go. Oh.
It's not easy, and it's only a few that can do it. As the reality. And I think everyone thinks that all the ITU guys are going to step over and just destroy it. Yeah. I really reckon there will be one or two that will.
I think Hayden Wild will.
Hayden's got the ability to do it.
Another Kiwi. Gosh, you guys are doing all right. Yeah,
we're killing it at the moment, and that's cool. That's cool, exciting within the sport. Like it's good for sponsorship. It's good for the sport. And there's actually more depth than you'd know about too. I reckon in New Zealand coming through at the moment. It will keep coming through. So,
what are your predictions for the Olympics on that? Bringing up Hayden Wild. Yeah.
Oh, Haydo.
Come on, Hayden. Big shout out, buddy. I really liked our chat when I had him on the show. Great guy.
I would love to see it happen. Yeah, I think he's...
And Matt Hauser. Come on, another Aussie. Let's bring it back.
He's had a great race, like season so far, right? He's running with a bit of confidence and he's obviously got that ability to do it. I think, Alex and Hayden's running's just phenomenal. Yeah. Like both of those guys, the speeds they can run.
13:20s or something they're running for 5K.
That's just so hard to beat. And we all know it's just going to be like whether the Frenchies can pull off their tactics or not. If Frenchies can...
Well, the women's race too, mate. Taylor Knibb. Have you seen anything more extraordinary than Taylor, what she's doing right now?
No, they're just that difference, is
talk about, like we said,
can do.
Who can go from one distance to the next? Look at what Taylor's doing. It's amazing.
Amazing, eh? Yeah. No, it's incredible. And I don't know, as a person, she doesn't seem like that kind of pushy, arrogant, like going to take over the world kind of athlete. She's like quite...
Yeah, but it's internal, mate.
Internal. She flicks a switch and she's just going to do her thing and go for it. So, it's been amazing to watch. Obviously 100% Haydo. Would love to see
Have the Kiwis got a team, a relay? Do you know? Did they qualify?
They got a qualified team.
Good. So they got a qualified team. I think the team is really between the French and the British, potentially the US, but they seem to be the big standout. I'd love the French, because it's in Paris.
It'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Either Cassandra Beaugrand has the female win, or they win the team. They get something. I'd like the French to get something, being on home soil.
I have a fair gut feeling they definitely will.
Yeah, they're super, super strong. Mate, I want to finish up with Big Four. I'm not sure if you saw these questions sent to you, but I'm going to put you on the spot. All right, so good. He doesn't.
Off the cuff.
All right, mate, off the cuff.
I'm scared.
No. What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh, 18-year-old
And would he listen?
Definitely would not listen, 18-year-old self. But just no regrets. Like, go out there and chase it. Enjoy it. Yeah. Like, enjoy the journey. Don't. So
don't change a thing, mate, because that's what
really,
you've been
doing. You could look at my life as a disaster in a lot of ways. But there's been no plan, no real intent, but other than follow what you're passionate about at that point of time. And I have to say, it's worked out pretty bloody well.
That's awesome, mate. And next one, if you had a dinner party and you could invite, 3 people, non-family. Ideally living, but they can be dead. Who would you want to invite? Is there anybody top of mind? And you'll probably, as soon as we finish this recording, you'll have a different three, but I'll put you on the spot.
I think it could change any day. It depends what mood you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's after a race and you just want to have a big night.
All the context of the dinner party, right? Like, I get it. I did this yesterday with my mum. She was like, well, who would you have on yours? And I was like, well, depending on the context of what I'm,
where we're at. Jan definitely is one that would make that dinner party. I think he's since I've obviously rolled into the sport, definitely been pretty inspirational about how he goes about his racing, and definitely something that I could learn from. His competitiveness.
He's a great host, by the way, too. I've had some sitting right here next to this dinner table here, and Emma and Jan are great hosts.
I'm sure he's happy to open a bottle of red and finish it too. That'd always be good fun. Two more. I mean, Brownie, I haven't actually got to spend a heap of time with Brownie, so that would be fun. Mark Webber, I actually did the Mark Webber challenge a couple of times, so it'd be fun to go back. We had a good time back then, and I imagine dinner party with him.
This is probably one of the easiest dinner parties we can actually make happen. Normally people are talking about all people that this one I'm like, hang on, give us a second, let's put everybody on Instagram.
What about Kelly Slater? Can we get Slater?
I think we could get Kelly too. I know how to get to Kelly. I can't get him on the show, but I'm trying.
We'll get some ways for him and it'll be all right.
Bring him. I think you know what Mark Webber used to do here, which was really cool in Noosa. He'd put 3 dinner parties together over the span of about 2 weeks. And you never knew which one you were going to get invited to. And he'd have about 20 at each one. So one time I'm sitting across from, Leighton Hewitt and his missus, and every time you went to his, and it was awesome. And he just did 3 great dinner parties at his house on the hill here. And so he does do it. So Mark, mate, I know you probably don't listen to the show, but this one I'm going to,
never know.
I love that, mate. That sounds really cool. All right. Now, next one, where do you see yourself in 5 years? We were talking a little bit pre-show about this, but you're late 30s now. You've probably got some good racing still ahead of you, but
obviously it goes through your mind all the time as an athlete towards the end of their career, and I don't actually feel bad about it. I'm definitely excited about it. I would see 2 years of racing at this level, probably being about the end of it, and quite content with that. And then to be on, like, what I love entertaining, I love adventure. So I would imagine like life would revolve around probably doing 5 or 6 years of just living the life, really, like kids. Spending a lot of time with my kids.
So your kids are how old now? You got
16 and 11. So doing a lot of adventures with them, being back to guiding. I definitely like taking people really cool places.
I got some business plans that are in my mind. I've written out here that I'm going to talk to you post show. I got some stuff here.
So that's easy.
You'd be
enough.
perfect.
That's said and done. And just probably as we talked about, someone also said to me, life works in their life works in sprints and jogs kind of thing. And I feel in a lot of ways that this life, I take it as kind of relaxed as I can. I sneak in a cheeky surf. It's still a bit of a sprint.
It's a push phase.
It's every day you're pushing, you're looking for more, you're trying to recover, you're trying to search for more kind of thing. And a lot of your mind's taken away from your family and your kids and that element of just kind of doing the things that, you do in a normal weekend and life and stuff. I just want to be able to finish and take the time and just make up for some of those sort of long weekends or those weddings I didn't make or those birthdays maybe that I was traveling. Probably just take the time to jog for a while before I think I'll get itchy feet and need to push.
Yeah, I can tell it's in you. There's this ambitious to take, well, not ambition even, it's not even the right word. I see it as this ability to unleash your potential to the world is the way I like to describe it. And I think all of us should and want to unleash any potential that we feel inside us. We should be giving to the world as much as possible, and you're doing that. So I think that's really cool. I have one last one, and I think you've kind of answered this already, but if you had 6 months to live, and this is not meant to be morbid, but how would you want to live them right now? I mean...
if I had 6 months to live, I would be, same. Adventure based, mate. If I really had a ceiling on what I was doing, it would be family and just adventures, really.
Mate, I just want to be your wingman.
Outdoors.
I want my family to follow your family. And let's just go travel the world and keep experiencing. I think it's awesome.
Caravanning, adventuring, skiing in Alaska, anything I could throw my last dollars at, really.
I love it, mate. I love it. Hey, you want to finish with some really fast rapid fire questions?
Yeah.
See if you got any fast twitch.
Right, no.
All right. Greatest movie of all time.
Oh,
That's a hard one.
That is. What have I watched lately that's really floated my boat? No, pass that one. No.
Pass. First car.
Or Ford Escort,
Well,
automatic, bright green, probably like an 82 or something.
I love it.
Wouldn't get over 60k an hour on the way to school.
That's all you need. 2 most used apps on your phone.
Sadly, Training Peaks and probably Spotify.
Joe Free will be happy. All right. Pet peeve.
Pet peeve. What grates my... There's lots of things that grate my... But all of them are really small.
That's all right. That's why they're pet peeves. You know okay, I'll give you mine the way you think about yours.
Yeah.
Picking up your luggage off the moving carousel and people standing right in front of you. It's like, can everybody just step back away from the baggage?
Just think for a minute, mate.
Yeah, step back when you see it, walk in, grab it and walk back. Okay, that's my pet peeve. Can't stand
that would
it.
really get you.
Mine are all travel related.
Yeah. Mine's probably all my wife related. Sand in the house.
Sand in the house.
Car, sand everywhere.
Yeah,
She's
well, if you're
very
living
confident at putting sand everywhere.
I love it.
So sorry, Jan. There's sand everywhere.
Oh, mate, don't say that. All right. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird, yeah. I like a good sunrise coffee, exercise, and if I'm going to have beers, I like them to start at about 3 o'clock and be done by 7:38.
You're the same as me, mate. I can drink early, but not late. Yeah. All right. Good to know. All right. If you weren't doing triathlon, what other sport would you want? And you've already been the best in the world, a couple of sports. You're a bit of a Cam Worth, actually. Yeah. It's like, what else would you want to be great at it?
Like I actually like snowboarding. I got to compete for New Zealand.
Oh, did you really?
To the Junior Worlds when I was 16.
Holy crap.
That went down. Got a Crippler 720 in my hat there. So
a what? Sorry, I'm not a snowboarder.
Backflip with a 720 rotation in a half pipe.
Whoa!
So that was my first sort of jaunt into sport, probably like at a competitive level. But
wow,
that stopped pretty quick. I mean, it's surfing. I love just the freedom of surfing. No, I'm not good at all, but if you could be good, why would you not be?
Yeah. Oh, mate, that's awesome. I love it. And best decade of music?
I still probably live very much in the present day. Fred again and again. If I need anything to fire me up. Yeah. So
I love it, mate.
2024.
All right. Awesome, buddy. Tell me just before I let you go, who you got backing you these days on your team? And you mentioned Red Bull. You're with Win Republic, right? You're with Luke and Beth.
Luke and Beth. Yep. Been super inspiring watching their story. There's another sprint and jog.
I'm actually leaving you right now. I'm going to go record an episode with Luke.
It's been awesome, mate. Yep.
They're awesome. They're working really hard.
They work so hard, but they live the life at the same time, which is admirable.
Yeah.
What else we got there? So Garmin, been on felt bikes for the last 2.5 years. It's been a really cool relationship and phenomenal. Like they picked me up in COVID.
That is amazing, isn't it?
Reached out to me and said that we're trying to expand. We want to.
They reached out to you. That never. By the way, that very rarely happens in the world.
Very rarely happens. Exactly. We want someone on a world champs. At Ironman.
And you'd podiumed at St. George.
Just podium at St. George.
Ironman world champs.
No, I actually hadn't at that point. No, I podiumed on their bike. Yeah, I got that on the felt. I still was specialised at that point in time. Yeah. Specialised had offered to renew my contract, but not take it up another notch. And felt came in with an offer that was better. So it's been a cool journey. You got to have a lot more to do with the development side of the bike.
Cool.
Meeting. And that actually means a lot to me. Like it's fun to be able to go to Austria, meet the bosses, hang out with them, ride with them, be a part of the business in a way. Yeah.
Ownership rather than renting is
100%. You feel a lot more connected to it.
Yeah.
Red Bull's been there for years. Win Republic. Probably AG1.
Athletic greens.
Yeah.
AG1 now. Yeah.
AG1
They get upset if we call them athletic greens anymore, but yeah.
That's been cool. Path as well the last couple of years with those guys.
You got a shoe company, you're running shoes?
Asics, been with Asics for years.
Yeah, I feel like every Kiwi in Australian's with Asics.
Asics is big over this side of the world, and great shoes.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Like they were slower
Super
to
fast.
the pick up, but you tend to find that with the Japanese. They like to spend some time on technology, and then when they figure it out, they get it right.
Well, look at Facebook; they were 8th to market, and they took over it. So it's like you never want to be first. You need to watch and learn.
You watch and learn, figure it out, be patient, and then get it out there. And I'd say, they're up there now. It's cool.
All right, mate. Awesome. And where do people follow you, mate, if they want to, check out your story?
Just the general Instagram, Braden Curie.
Yeah. And you got YouTube channel. You're doing a little bit.
YouTube channel. We've sort of run a little general follow along 25-minute story lately.
I've watched a few of them.
It's a touch more relaxed and a bit more lifestyle based. Yeah.
Well, mate, this has been really, really cool. I look down at the clock here. I'm like, holy crap, we've gone for well over an hour. I know you've got other things you could be doing, but this has been just really cool to hear your really inspirational story, mate. The way you've just kept moving, going forward. This, like I said earlier in the show, the ability to adapt, pivot, keep moving. It's really cool, buddy.
Yeah, it takes a good team. I can definitely say that. You got to have a wife that's prepared, as you would know, to follow your journey, be involved in your journey, and take opportunities when they come, and it's made for a very fun life.
Mate, it's an awesome story. I think there's a great book that's going to come out of this. I think this is really cool. Thanks again for coming on the show, mate, and really great to be able to do it in person as well. Really, really fun. So thanks, mate.
Pleasure. Thanks,
all
mate.
right. For everybody else, you can find all the show notes, timestamps, and everything else at bennettendurance.com/media. All right. Cheers, buddy.